How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Good. Okay, good. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Today we have a speaker who's going to talk to y'all about the dangers of logging. He is a native from Stuarts Draft, Virginia, and he really knows his stuff. He is a forest operations and business major, and he worked in a sawmill over the summer, visited a whole bunch of logging sites, and he even saw some close calls firsthand, but he's still here, so obviously he knows what he's doing. So please help me in welcoming to the front, Dylan Yancey.
Thanks, Courtney. All right, so I'm going to talk about one of the deadliest jobs in the world today. Logging goes up there with underwater welding, like Levi told us before, as well as you know, there's people out there doing oil drilling out in the middle of the ocean. It's extremely dangerous stuff. All right, boots on the ground or not. Okay, so you look at this guy over here. You can't see him, but there's a yarder. A yarder is it's a machine that has cables going down over like a valley, and it'll have cables coming down. You hook the logs to them and you pull them up. It's one of the most dangerous spots to be because everyone that's down there is not in control of what these logs are doing. Those logs, every single log's 2 tons and it's flying through the air. There's been plenty, people die every day doing that. This guy's in a bad spot. He probably knows what he's doing. He's just in a spot where, you know, if those drop, they could roll and hit him. If the yarder stops it violently, they're going to swing. He's in a bad spot. And you look at this guy over here. You know, they say women live longer than men, and that's one of the reasons why. Right? I mean, you can see how far down these other trees are. He's probably every bit. I mean, he's probably definitely out west, out in a pine forest, and that tree's probably 150. Probably about 100 feet tall, 150 feet tall. You know, when you get to doing that kind of stuff, as soon as he cuts that top off, that trunk that he's on is going to be swinging, like very violently. He's strapped on, but he's just along for the ride. I mean, people have been thrown off those, and then, you know, your history after that. Moving on. Oh, that's right, I can just touch this thing. All right. You know, so, you know, loggers are really rough people. I don't know if any of you have ever met one. Has anybody ever met loggers, talked to them? You, especially on their, I'm not your exact logger you'd see out in the woods. Okay, so if you ever got to meet one of them, they're really rough. A lot of them are really stubborn and hard to get along with. That's why you always, you know, if you ever hear of like legal disputes and stuff, they get in a lot of trouble all the time. They're not that easy to get along with the public, and it's because their work is extremely hard. They have to work through the weekends, sometimes nights. People just now starting businesses, they'll you know, there's a company that I learned about last semester. You know, it was 2 brothers, and they hired 2 other guys, and they were running 24 hours. One guy would work 12 hours, taking the other guy to be sleeping, then they'd switch. They were running a 24-hour you know, crew, and it was because they have to pay for stuff like this. This is a used chipper. I mean, a used skidder. Used skidders can run, you know, if you really want a really bad one, you can get it like $30,000, and you know, you can replace everything yourself if you're a good mechanic. But if you're not, and you got to buy a used one that's $50,000 to $100,000, sometimes more. And then chippers, most people, unless you're real big time corporate like Georgia Pacific, you're not going to buy a brand new chipper because that's, you know, that's $300,000 right there. But you know, cheaper ones still $150 to $200. Not like the ones like Daniel would be running, but these are the big time shoving through massive full logs. Very expensive stuff, and you know, they can't really afford that. Loggers I worked with over the summer, they would say after they'd have on one piece of equipment they'd have a $3,000 a month payment on it, $3,000, and that's just one piece of equipment, and they have 2 or 3 others. So they said after the whole week of working and counting up what they got to pay off, one guy told me he made $50 a week, and that was it. So that's why they are such rough and unforgiving people. All right, chainsaws. A chainsaw is not a man's best friend. That is one of the most dangerous tools a man or woman could ever run. But see, when you look at this little diagram I found, this guy's cutting a log right here. And over here you have just another piece of wood over here, and this demonstrates kickback. Basically, when you're sawing into a log, if there's anything on the other side, if it kicks, that thing's coming back at you whether you want it to or not. It doesn't matter how strong you are. It's gonna kick back. Sometimes it's worse than others. When this summer I'd be sawing logs, if they were greater than, it was a 2-foot bar, but if it was greater than 2 feet wide, then that means that the end of the tip of the bar would be inside the log itself. And there was plenty of times where I'd be sawing through and that end would hit something, it would kick back out and hit me right in the leg. And I mean, it's not a pleasant feeling at all. So, you know, chainsaws is another part of the whole dangerous aspect of logging. There was actually a man a few years ago for the company I worked for. He was cutting through a piece of timber, not cutting down a tree, but just, you know, sawing up the log back on the landing, which is where they load up all the logs. And that happened to him. It kicked back, came back into his chest, and he was done. Sawed right into his chest, and that was it. But moving on from that. Dangers of log truck. Dangerous log truck. Okay, I thought I would put it up there wrong for a second. All right, dangerous log trucking. So once you get, if you actually get it out of the woods, everybody's okay. Then you got to get it onto the truck. That trucker has got he only has one piece of equipment protecting him, and that's a metal frame right behind his cab. Some of them don't even use those, and the ones that don't use them, the whole back of their cab is just destroyed. It's dented, it looks terrible, so you know that they need it. It should be required. But like I've told y'all before, the weight limit just got increased to 90,000 pounds. So when you're taking 90,000 pounds of, let's say, wet logs on a rainy day, you hit the brakes hard enough, it's going to come through. It's going to move. So if you don't have the frame, you're in trouble. Or if you don't strap them down tight enough, that happens. There's actually a woman in a place called Lyndhurst, Virginia. It's about 10 minutes from where I live. She was following a log truck, and sure enough, log came off. You know, it was her and her baby in the back seat. Her baby was in the right side, in the right back seat. She was driving. The log came through there and killed her. Baby lived, but it's just one of those things where you don't follow log trucks, and you got to understand the liability that they deal with is through the roof. I mean, the tickets they get, it's for a reason. You know, when they overload $2,000 ticket, it's because of that kind of stuff right there. Or on a wet road, if there's mud on the road, log truck tries to stop. It's not going to stop on a dime, and if a 90,000 pound hits your car, your car's, you know, nothing. It's destroyed. All right. So after transportation, you get it to the sawmill, you get it to the log yard, and this is how they'll unload you with a loader. This loader has a claw bucket where, I mean, I wish I'd gotten one of those. It comes up and it basically just grabs it and picks it up. It's a lot safer. Whereas the ones we had were like forklifts where you come in like this and you pick them up. The unloading part is okay. That's not too dangerous or whatnot. You know, you might flip the truck, but if you know what you're doing, you're okay. So you pick that up, and then it's always if it's wet. Rain is bad when it comes to logging and stuff. So if you have a loader, you're picking up logs and it's wet, and that thing falls off and it rolls down the log yard, well, you better hope somebody hears heads up or something. That's happened several times. I mean, it's just a normal thing. Everybody just watches out for it. But here's the real dangerous one right here. Knuckle booms. If y'all remember me showing y'all that video of me running one, even though it was kind of sideways and you might not be able to see it that little bit. But it's a crane that is lifting 2-ton logs up 30 feet in the air. And I've dropped some. Sometimes you get them up on top of these, and if like you have one, and you get it up on top of the thing, it'll stand up, and then it's just standing straight up, and it can fall in any direction, and you don't know who's on the other side. They also use these out on landings out in the woods, and they drop logs all the time on people. It just happens. It's just a part of the job. One thing you don't have to worry about, of course, is trees. There's no felling of trees, so you don't have that problem out here. But you definitely got to worry about stuff like this. That's references, but I'm not done yet. So back to what I was talking about with boots on the ground. There was actually a man this past summer who, it could be peaceful. He might not even be working. A guy was walking out into the woods at 6 a.m. This past summer, and he's by himself. Like you said, don't work alone. Daniel's right, because he was by himself, walked out there, and they said he probably got maybe 10, 20 yards in, and a 20-foot about a 9-inch branch came down and hit him on the head. He wasn't wearing a hard hat. He lived, but it messed him up really bad, and he's probably not going to work again for a year, they said. And then just to give you another example, there was another man working by himself. It was him and his brother, but his brother wasn't anywhere near him. He was cutting down timber. Got through a tree. The tree stood up on him, so it wasn't falling. It just kind of caught and hung there. And he said, "Okay, well, I'll just come back to it." Rule number 1 in logging is don't ever turn your back on the tree. Well, he turned his back to it, and next thing you know, while he's cutting another tree, that one comes down on top of him. His brother found him like crawling through the woods, and he died right there in his brother's arms. So logging is extremely dangerous. In conclusion, what I'm trying to say is respect. When you come in contact with loggers, respect them for what they're doing. Understand why they're so stubborn and sometimes mean and whatnot. Understand how dangerous it is. Please don't follow log trucks. Just get past them. Give them the room they need. Be courteous. Slow down if you have to, if you can't get around them. And when it comes to secondary handling of wood and the wood products, just realize that when you have stuff like this, like desks and whatnot, it comes from a job that's pretty daggone dangerous. That's all I've got. Are there any questions?